Fall River Conservation Commission meeting being held at One Government Center, Public Hearing Room, Monday, April 1st, 2024, 5:30. Pursuant to the open meeting laws, any person who make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and is deemed acknowledged and permissible. We'll start with roll call. To my left,
Here, Chris Boyle here. Louis Ferrera.
John Brandt.
Jim Cusick.
Paul Emerald?
And we're missing on the board Christina Vieira and Jim Hornsby. We also have Patty Aguiar, a recording secretary, and Dan Aguiar, conservation agent, and Gary from FRG TV. First on the list, notice of intent SE-24-831, owner applicant Jeff Sylvia, project location is 2450 Indian Town Road, assessors map is W-34-0012, filed by Ecosystem Solution Inc. on behalf of the applicant. The applicant is proposing a restoration plan to remove the unauthorized cart path created in or around 2017 from an order of conditions from 1997 DP file number SE-24-289. This was tabled from March 4th meeting.
Mr. Chairman, we had correspondence this morning from the applicant, Mike Labossiere, from the city of Fall River, that they're still waiting on their surveyor and engineer to come up with the composite plan that we had requested back in, was it February, or maybe even before that? They anticipate having that plan for the May meeting, so I would recommend that we table this matter until such time, which is May 6th.
Okay. Can I have a motion to table this to May 6th?
Motion. Second?
Roll call?
Aye.
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 Yes.
Alrighty. Review and discussion update on Bell Rock Road. This was tabled from March 4th.
I've been out to the site 2 or 3 times in the last month. I did go out and witness the installation of some new hay bales and silt fence. Not everywhere where I would have liked them, so I did follow up with another meeting at the beginning of last week and walked the area with the gentleman, Mr. Nunes, who's been here a few times, and told him specifically the area that we want to make sure we've cleaned up so that when they begin restoration, that we have something working in order on that downstream end. And it was basically trying to protect that little drainage ditch that leads to the culvert underneath the driveway. So it was not only the erosion control along the street that we wanted updated, it was, I wanted to be able to protect that drainage depression so that way the water that's flowing into it, so basically encapsulating that, so when the water comes off of the slope, that dirty, that has, water has sediment in it, doesn't make it into that swale, thus through the culvert. So he was gonna be working on that over the next week or two, and we'll follow up with another site walk when he has that done. I did tell him when the guys are out there installing it, if he wants me to go out to give them some direction, I would be more than happy to do so. So, ongoing, but that they've made some progression.
All right, good. Can I have a motion to table this to May's meeting?
Motion to table.
Seconded.
Roll call?
Aye.
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 Yes.
Okay. Next is a review and discussion of adopting the fee structures. I did notice that it's the last reading that MACC is having on the new bylaws, so I figure we just wait for them. So if you
Yeah.
want to make a motion to table till May?
Make a motion to table till May.
Second? Aye.
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 Yes.
Okay. Next, review and discussion of 1262 Brighton Ave. This was tabled from March 4th.
So as I had offered at the last meeting, the applicants made great strides in complying with our requests. The erosion control has been updated throughout the whole site. The entire site is demarcated for areas that he can put vehicles in, where stormwater should be constructed. The temporary stormwater basin has been constructed, and they're working on the installation of, the permanent stormwater solution as well. So I can offer that. They've continued moving in the right direction. I did speak to their engineer. They've just about finished up with the site plan review. That does incorporate all of the different design aspects and conditions that we asked for. So there's been nothing new other than they're moving forward with some stormwater construction from the last meeting. And as I stated in the last meeting, we'll continue to monitor that. I go by, at least once a week. So we'll keep a close eye, but.
Did they remove that crushed stone that they had all over the place? I noticed that.
Well, it wasn't, so the crushed stone that's out there is actually the temporary detention area and like a swale that comes off the ledge slope.
Yeah, yeah.
The other area was processed like asphalt grindings, that's what they were parking on. So they've started scraping that back
Okay.
and constructing. They left it in the area that's marked off where they can park trucks. The area around that, that's all coming out, and that's where the permanent detention areas and swales will be constructed. That's the area that they just started working on.
Okay. Motion to table till May.
So made.
Second.
Roll call.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Ready? Moving on, notice of intent SE-24-834, owner applicant is Jorge Lopes and Tiffany Bergine. Project location is 20 Hayfield Lane and 0 Fieldstone Lane. Census map is U-01-0045 and U-04-0078, filed by Gordeski Engineering on behalf of applicant. The applicant is proposing to replicate and restore altered wetlands. This was tabled from March 4th.
Alex, did we ever get green cards and legal ad from way back, right, at the beginning meeting? Okay, just wanted to make sure, it's been a while.
I think even electronic.
Okay.
Give you some plans.
I think they have them all on their computers, but if you want to give them colored versions, by all means.
All right, but maybe help. I have one more copy.
I think we're good.
We can share this one.
You don't have to see this one. Do you need to see this one? No, that's the one that's out.
So. It's right here.
Why don't you set that one up more for the audience, Alex, since they all have a color copy? There you go.
So for your consideration, let me. So my name is Alex Kradetsky, I'm a professional engineer in the city of Fall River. My address is 422 North Main Street, and I'm representing Lopes family who are in the audience. And this hearing is 20 Hayfield Lane in a very nice subdivision. And what it is, without going, I took this project in the middle of the happenings, so the intent of this job, the intent of this filing is to revegetate part of the wetland resource area that was unfortunately denuded, and also is to replicate part of the area that is currently covered by the existing swimming pool, retaining walls, patios. And without going into the history of this project, I believe my client acted in good faith. She received all the permits, but once she applied for the certificate of compliance, and sometime in the past, all these violations came into place. So here we are. So I prepared a wetland revegetation plan. That's on the plan that you see, you have existing conditions plan, as well as proposed conditions. So we're proposing to revegetate area on the other side, just outside of the as-built swimming pool area, and replicate the area that unfortunately occupied by the pool. The area of replication is approximately, let me see, about 750 square feet. That would cover the issue, and the area that should be revegetated is about also 750 square feet. Mr. Aguirre, I believe, reviewed the plan, so there were some comments. All these comments have been addressed, and that's pretty much in a nutshell what we have. There is one issue that will probably wait decision from the Department of Community Utilities. If you see what's highlighted in a light blue, right here, this area, this is part of the drainage easement. So my client and myself were in conversation with Mr. Furland, and he was told that they're acting on or preparing a license, so-called license, regulation, that would allow people in Fall River to occupy drainage easements, and they will be issued licenses to this effect. Another issue for that may be just revised drainage easement as well, but Mr. Furland suggested that his way of addressing this issue would be licensing, through the license. And that's pretty much it. In itself, no, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, that was his recommendation? No,
Yes,
okay.
this was his recommendation.
Mr. Chairman, if I could.
Sure.
So this is an after-the-fact filing for the construction of an in-ground swimming pool, and you can just read along in the notes. So the swimming pool and the patio encroached into what was an approved bordering vegetated wetland that this commission had approved the location of. Two separate issues here. We have the wetland violation, and we have the easement and drainage structure part of this. I think the commission needs to look at and focus at the Wetlands Protection Act issues of it, and then conditionally upon, if you do decide to move this, we would be so with Paul Furland's blessing and approval in some form or fashion. But looking back at just the bordering vegetated wetland part of this, so the activities, again, fell within the bordering vegetated wetland and within the drainage easement. It's approximately 1,600 square feet of bordering vegetated wetland that was altered, and that was through a file number SE 24-726. That was for the construction of the single-family house, the driveway, and the drainage system. Again, as Alex had stated, the applicants applied at the building department. This was quite a few years ago, probably 3 years, 4 years ago already? 2021, just after they had just moved in, had hired a pool company. Pool company went to the building department, submitted a plan to the building department. The building department did in fact give them a permit for the installation of this pool. So when we look at, okay, how did this go awry, I would offer that the plan that was submitted was woefully insufficient, as it didn't show the drainage easement, it didn't show the exact scale of what the size of the pool was. So there's some error to go around, I think, everywhere.
Who submitted that plan, Dan?
The pool company, I don't remember the name of the pool company, but the applicant hired a pool company, the pool company went through all permitting.
Okay.
He even asked if we needed to go to the Conservation Commission to ask, because we were bordering wetlands that were not marked correctly. That's a whole other issue. So he asked if he needed to go to the Conservation Commission, and they said, no, you're in the buffer zone. So like
Which we know is being incorrect. But moving forward, let's just look at what we've got. So Alex took this job on to try to resolve this matter.
Sure.
Came to me, well, first they approached Bristol Pacific Homes, which owned the adjacent parcel of land that has the wetland that is contiguous to this wetland. So the analysis first was, okay, how much wetland was altered? That was 1,600 square feet. That's easy. Where was the approved wetlands line per plan before? Where is the limit of clearing now, which Alex sent the surveyors out there and they did that work. Coming back in, from the retaining walls that were built to where the limit of clearing is now, they have the ability to allow 860 square feet of wetland to restore itself. There's only some small material, not even really placed over it, but it was disturbed and needs to either be revegetated or allowed to be revegetated. Then, to make up the remainder of the 1,600 square feet, Bristol Pacific Homes offered the area that is directly behind the detention pond on the parcel, open space parcel directly adjacent.
So
to
that's
this.
the other parcel here, that's the other.
That's the other.
751 square feet.
Correct,
about.
700, so there'll actually be a wetland replication area constructed on the adjacent parcel behind the detention pond.
That wasn't there before.
That was not there before. So, let's narrow scope, let's look at Wetlands Protection Act. We have a filling, whether or not you would have authorized it from the beginning or not, it's done. So, two options are rip everything out, or allow restoration at a rate of 1-to-1 to occur, not losing any wetland within, the proximity to the bordering vegetated wetland. Engineering-wise, I can offer that what's being proposed meets the requirements for restoration, 1-to-1, and replication standards. We've required a certain amount of plantings, the spacing of those plantings, trees and shrubs. So what the commission needs to look at is, after the fact filing, some ambiguity with regards to how that happened. It was discovered through this process of seeking a certificate of compliance. It's the only lot in phase 1 that doesn't have one. And that was the reason that it was holding up.
Right.
So I can only offer you those facts, which Alex presented them, identically. I have spoken to Paul Furland, and he's still weighing, okay, do I just change the drainage easement? The pond itself was not filled. So the capacity of the pond is the same, the function of the pond is the same. The drainage easement that wraps around the pond is what would either change or the applicant be given a license to leave the pool in that area. He hasn't made that decision yet.
Okay.
If it were me, I would change the easement, rather than open the Pandora's box of allowing people to utilize drainage easements for the construction of anything. But that's up for him to decide. So, again, whatever the commission wishes to do here, it should be 100% with Paul Furland's department as a condition of approval, him approving it in some form or fashion to allow it to actually happen. The drainage area that was utilized really served no purpose. It was really just to create a straight line to create the drainage easement. That's all I have to offer.
I just have a couple of quick questions. Mr. Gordetsky, between the pool, which the BVW seems, it runs right through where the pool is placed, and the as-built retaining wall,
Yes.
what exists there presently? Is it a pool skirt? Is it?
No, it's a retaining wall, it's a heavy.
Patio, paver.
It's pavers.
Pavers.
So it is paved.
Yes. it
Are
is.
they permeable pavers? Do you guys know? Are they permeable pavers?
No.
There's sand in between
Unilock.
They're
unilock, so how do they backfill unilock? It's not with,
So,
like, the gaps in between unilocks, block to block.
oh, yes, it's that magic, not magic.
It is sand, yeah.
Sand?
Yeah.
Okay.
Polymetric.
Thank you.
Parliamentary.
Wow.
Okay.
Spending too much time with you.
It's gonna be the suit.
The only other concern I have is with a lot of these properties out there that have put pools in, we've requested that they have, so when you backwash the pool, we don't want it going into the drainage swale, we don't want it going into the BVW, so I don't think I don't think this pool came before us before.
No,
it was
that's the
constructed.
problem.
That's the
Yeah,
problem.
that's
So,
the problem.
obviously, so what we'd like to see is we're having 3x3x3, in essence, a sump, a dry well, to put your backwash effluent into the dry well, so it doesn't go over land surface and make its way into the.
Where's the pool equipment now?
I don't know if this matters, but it's a saltwater pool, so it's low maintenance and we don't backwash.
Well, I have one. You do have to backwash occasionally, not very often, but it's still, the disinfectant quality is still the same. In fact, it's better than a chlorine pool. So all we want is that to go into a dry well somewhere, sump somewhere, and not just be dug, not just be put right out onto the surface of your backyard or dumped into the retention pond. That's all.
When you do backwash, there's gotta be an outlet on the filter somewhere, right, that just goes
Yeah.
onto the ground?
I'm going to my grass, my yard,
Yeah.
In what part of the yard?
way back. next to my deck.
next to your deck. So that pipe,
Yep.
what the commission normally requires is that pipe be connected to a pit in the ground of stone, 3 by 3, just a square. And that pipe goes into that hole rather than over the ground. But they do require that pit be 25 feet away from the wetland. Do you think you can do
Yeah,
that
that side
somewhere?
of our house is
It can be
not
on the side of the house.
Way
it can be-
further, yeah.
Yeah,
So if they make that a condition, that's something that you can comply.
and you can use a non-permanent hose. When you backwash, you have one of those long
Yeah.
pool hoses. You could run that. As long
Rather
as you're
than hard
not,
pipe it.
doesn't have to be permanent. It can be, as long as you're not dumping it overland or into the retention pond or into the BVW. And this is some similar requests we've had for other people out at that development, that they do that, and that's the only concern that we have.
We would never dump it into the wetlands.
Oh, I'm
Even
not
though
saying,
we're-
I'm not saying you would, it's just that that's where we want it to go.
Sure.
And that's what we've asked other people to do, so we want to be equitable across the place, so that's all.
It's basically a French drain, right? A hole
Yes,
in the ground.
pretty much.
With some rocks, and you dump it in there.
But it allows it to percolate
Right.
At a distance,
at a distance of
25
25
feet.
feet.
For a few researchers, just basically call it French drain, basically, but it has to be 25 feet away from,
Yeah, that's easy fix.
All
Yeah.
type questions.
Yeah, and I think we said 3 by 3 by 3?
3 by 3 by
3 by 3 by 3 feet deep, and you'll be fine.
And fill it with gravel.
Crushed stone.
Crushed stone.
yeah, like 1/2 inch to 1.5 inch,
Yeah,
something
I
like that.
think we can do that.
Any other questions? So can I have a motion?
Move.
to-
Others
Anybody?
in favor or against?
Nobody? Okay. So can I have a motion to issue an order of conditions with, first the condition that the Department of Community Utilities approves it, and then with the condition of a 3 by 3 by 3 crushed stone pit for backwash 25 feet from the wetlands?
Make a motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Aye.
All right,
Aye.
Aye.
yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, we do not want to rip out your pool.
Alrighty, next is a request for certificate of compliance, SC-24-757, owner applicant, Fall River Department of Community Utilities, project location 700 Wilson Road, assessors map is Z-04-001, filed by Wright Price Engineer, Better Environment. On behalf of the applicant is this certificate of compliance. Fall River Road construction has been completed in substantial compliance with the plan. Dissemination from the plans did occur near SMH-5, where originally the plan called for planting. A stone channel was implemented instead to help with drainage and erosion control. The channel and the banks were restored and stabilized.
So, Mr. Chairman, as I had presented at the last meeting, and we discussed with the applicant, there were a few items that we had requested. We have not received those items as of yet, so I would recommend tabling this item as well.
Okay, can I have a motion to table to May 6th?
So moved.
seconded.
Roll call?
Aye.
All right,
Aye?
Aye.
Yes.
Alright. Next is a request for determination of accessibility, -186, owner applicant Paul Furlan, property location 10 Ferry Street, assessors map is N-14-002, filed by Wright Price Engineering, a better environment. On behalf of the applicant is proposing a sewer, pump station, mechanical and electrical equipment replacement of a deteriorated generator house with flooded hardened house anchored to Powell Foundation, installation of a bypass sewer connection to enable the work to take place outside the Fall River 25-foot riverfront area. Erosion control protection will be installed to prevent the sediment from escaping the work site.
Mr. Chairman, again, similarly to the last one, same applicant for a different project. We had requested some updated plans that labeled some resource areas, the impacts, the property lines, all that. We still have not received those updated plans as well, so I would recommend tabling that matter to the main meeting as well.
Motion to table to May 6th.
So moved.
seconded.
Roll call.
Aye.
All right,
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Okay. Review and discussion and cease and desist of Bart Street and Bronson Street. Is anybody here for that?
Yes, sir.
Can you state your name and address?
Clayton, Manchester. 1690 Eagleville Road, Tiverton, Rhode Island.
Okay, you can have,
So, Mr. Chairman, I can just give you an update on that. As you had directed me to send the enforcement letter, Mr. Manchester's actual listed address was a P.O. box, which he doesn't check often, so he did not get that letter prior to the last meeting. Understandable. As I stated at the last meeting, I would follow up with another call, which I did. Mr. Manchester did take the phone call. We had the conversation again. As many people are dealing with, consultants aren't easy to come by. I can offer that he has retained the services of a consultant who I spoke to the end of last week, Greg Nicholas, a very reputable engineer and surveyor that is working on the project. So we do have correspondence that's in all of your packages
okay.
from Nicole Wood and Clayton regarding their acknowledgement of the enforcement action and that their engineer is working on getting a filing back in. So I would recommend that we take the item off the agenda and give the applicant and their consultant some time to put together a restoration plan for the area.
And then they'll.
I do make sure during this that you don't do any work on the property.
No, they haven't. No, they
Okay.
haven't.
I mean, as you see in our explanation, we were under
Yeah.
the assumption that we were able to build a house there. That
Okay.
was what we were hoping for, and to be quite honest, still hoping for in a little bit of a way, but
Yeah.
the new engineer is not so promising.
We'll let the wetland scientists go out and try to find some
Yeah.
wetland.
Let them do it.
And then we'll know from there, and then we'll do whatever we need to correct everything. It's not a
Okay.
problem.
Sounds good. So can I have a motion to remove from the agenda and wait till the consultant files?
I make the motion.
Second.
Remove.
Roll call?
Aye.
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 Yes.
So we meet first Monday of every month.
Yep.
So if you think of it, I'll reach out to you too, but before the next meeting, just tell me, hey, we've gotten this accomplished, just so I can tell the board, okay, they're this close.
As soon
or-
as I get anything from
I
Greg,
know,
you'll
you'll
be the
let me
first
know.
guy to have
All
it.
right.
And then the consultant will refile with the city?
Oh, yeah, they'll be filing.
Okay.
They're either gonna be filing a notice of intent to build a house, or a notice of intent to restore a
It's gonna
wetland.
be one or the other.
Fingers crossed. Or it could be half and half, right? You don't know. I mean, they might
Whatever
find
needs
some
to be
upland
done
to
is
the
what we're
back
gonna do,
somewhere.
so,
Right.
but the intent is hopefully to use those dry area, which there
Yep.
is some, but it's not
Alright.
very much.
Yeah, no, I've been out there.
Yeah, it's not.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. We'll wait to hear from you, but thank you for coming in. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, next is a notice of intent SE-24-837. Owner applicant is Director Engineering and Planning Department, City of Fall River. Project location 0 Alden Street, 69 Alden Street, 69R Alden Street, and 420 Quikasham Street. Assessors map is J-26-0026, J-27-001, J-27-004, J-27007, and J-27009, filed by LEC Environmental Consultant on behalf of the applicant. The applicant is proposing construction of the Quikasham Rail Trail Phase 4A between Quikasham Street and Father Travassos Park.
Great. Good evening, everybody. My name is Nate Goshgarian. I'm a wetland scientist with LEC Environmental Consultants. Joining me is Elise D'Onofrio. She is a professional engineer with Stantec. Tonight, we are presenting a notice of intent application for the construction of Phase 4A for the Quikasham River Rail Trail. I would also like to offer an apology if I mutilate that name. I've been having a chronic issue like saying.
You said Elise's name right, so that's,
I know.
that's more difficult for us than Quikasham, so. very good.
So I'm sure everybody is acquainted with this project that has been ongoing since 2008, kind of in different iterations for the last 16 years, 2008 to 2017. Really, the overarching goal of this project for Fall River is to provide the public with a series of paths and trails that interconnect. And so what we're presenting in this notice of intent is kind of the newest iteration, the newest segment that is connecting with parts of it that already exist. And so within this NOI, what we're presenting is 800 linear feet that is going to extend from Quikasham Street southeast down to Father, what's another name there?
Travassos.
Travassos, yeah, Park. So that's the 800-foot section. It visually, it looks like a traditional bike path, multi-use, 10 feet wide, paved. We are close to the river, so of course we have protected wetland resource areas. Those include bordering vegetated wetlands. This wetland complex is hydrologically associated with the Quequechan River. It's basically a very dense kind of forested shrub environment. Of course, we also have bank/median and high water, which we have the 25-foot riverfront area that extends from. And then the third and final wetland resource area that's involved with our project footprint is bordering land subject to flooding. So, I believe everybody's got a copy of the plans. This was initially delineated in late 2022 and completed, I believe, in mid-2023. So if we jump to page 6 and 7, I just wanted to point out kind of how we demarcated our wetland resource areas and also point out there's some setbacks. So there's 2 pages that cover the whole 800-foot vicinity, and geographic north is up and to the left, just for reference. So the more northerly demarcation we have is our bordering vegetated wetland that basically follows the down gradient slope of the proposed path. And then south of that, we've got the main annual high water, from which we have our 25-foot, and that's, I believe, a purple dash line or blue dash line, the 25-foot setback. The red dash line to the north is the 100-foot setback buffer to bordering vegetated wetland. And then kind of intertwining itself with the bordering vegetated wetland is our BLSF floodplain. If we go to the next page, we have basically the same setup, and we got that kind of L-shaped curve in which we're terminating at the portion of the path that already exists, which was already completed, in Father Travasso's park. So that's kind of a general overview. Because we do have portions of this project footprint that are involved with riverfront area and BLSF, we do have some permanent alterations. However, especially with bordering land subject to flooding, it's pretty minute. In terms of square footage, it comes to 1.17, and within riverfront area, I believe it's 661 square feet of permanent impacts. So that's kind of a general overview related to the wetland resource areas. I think I will hand it off to Elise, which will get into some more of the project.
Sure. Yes, so similar to the rest of the Quequechan River Rail Trail, it is going to be a 10-foot wide paved path, grass shoulders on either end. There are a few areas where we're adding some landscaping, trees, shrubs. We have been discussing this with Dan now for probably a year to try and figure out how to advance this section forward. Initially, some of the development out here was not here when we had it designed back in 2014, I think was the last time we had worked on it. So we had talked about construction access now being through Father Travasso's Park and coming in that way so that they'll be able to get everything in. They would use, generally, you know, they would use the existing footprint of what they'll be digging up as any type of laydown area, and they'll have to work from one end to the other as they phase through it.
I think what's important that you all understand is that although the city's also an applicant to this petition, there were a number of landowners that signed this petition for it to move forward. The 2 different mill complexes that have.
So the easements are in place with the private owners?
Yeah, so there were some takings that were done previously. Those will all be getting updated now that the shape has changed. Most notably, behind the Fall River Knitting Mills, where their parking lot is now, the original layout for this trail ran directly through what ultimately ended up being their parking lot. So this new design had to bring the rail trail out closer to the river and run a skirt along the southerly end of their parking lot. Then it bangs a hard northerly direction to get up past the ledge encroachment that crosses over to Dean Street. Similarly, 69R Alden, where Parker Candy was, you all had permitted some duplex and triplex buildings to be constructed there. Those were designed and built in accordance with the easements already being taken. All that, so those don't need to change. Then previous to that, I don't think the layout changed much. The wetland changed a little bit, so some of the temporary grading easements changed a little bit. So not a lot has changed. What's on the ground really changed at the back of the knitting mills. So we're at the point now where this should be going out for bid soon, right?
Yep, anytime.
Because we have to spend this money pretty quickly, because this is all being done with ARPA funds.
So those
Okay.
easements were already in place prior to this 4A extension, correct? Is that what you're saying? It's just the
Correct.
updated?
Yeah.
Some of them are going to be changed now because of the reshaping of where the thing's being built.
We had done this back in 2014,
Okay.
was when we were trying to advance this, and
Yep.
I'm not 100% sure why it didn't go forward. I don't know if it was a
I'm sure
funding
it's funding.
concern, but
Just
Yeah,
like anything
funding.
else.
that's
Yeah.
what I think too, construction funds were
Well,
trying-
yeah, there was, Dean Street was where they had the easements that they had
Yeah, so they
taken
were
way
more
back
takings
when.
on,
Yes.
Yeah.
well, through that whole corridor. So, again, this phase 4, whether it's 4A and 4B or
Well,
whatever you wanna
since
call
we
it,
split it, I
actually
called it
dealt
4A
with
and B.
from Britland Park east to Quikasham and then Quikasham to Father Travassos. The takings were done through this part of the corridor. They were not done
Yeah.
on the westerly side. So we, because of time of being, of the essence of getting these funds spent, we had to bisect this project, because we would never have been able to get the takings done in time to deal with the westerly side of this. So this is, now is this, we're focusing on this part, and then we can focus on the westerly part of it.
Makes sense.
The plans that I looked at, the delineation is pretty simple out there. The only thing that I would ask for, if you do decide to move this in a positive way, is a revised plan that clearly illustrates the Dean Street ownership stuff.
Sure, yep.
And then also, I think we had discussed this in the past, show the improvements on 69R Alden. I don't see that the buildings, I know it's noted under construction, but I think we want to know 100% now. I did speak with the owner, well, one of the owner's representatives who's here this evening,
Okay.
and he assured me that they made their unit smaller and that they'll fall outside of the easement.
Yeah.
So let's make sure that that's on this plan so that we don't have an issue moving
Are
forward.
there as-bills available for that?
No, you
Okay.
didn't, with the
Well, I
deck,
spoke with Jeff this week, so I'm supposed to meet with him tomorrow.
so hopefully,
Okay.
if I don't get them to you by the end of the week,
Yep.
have the surveyors go out and locate them themselves. I would rather have them not rely on an as-built from them than have you guys go do it,
Okay.
so.
That was
And
six-
then, yeah, we could compare them to mine, just to
Yeah.
make sure that,
Yeah.
it's, you know.
Yeah.
So we're within 6 inches, our buildings are smaller
Yep.
than was originally applied for, so we're within. Our concern becomes, we have a 10-foot road about 8 feet beyond 6 sliding glass doors.
Yep. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I don't know how everybody sits on their couches, but I'm pretty sure not everybody sits on them the same. Enough being said, there's a 10-foot roadway that goes behind 6 of our buildable sliding glass
Right.
doors. So maybe we could get together and come up with something that
But
safe for everybody and
But
best fit,
understand completely
you know?
that your project, and I know it well, came after these takings and this proposal started.
So we wanna make everything happen just in the best way for
Best
Fall
way
River
possible.
and for
Yep.
the 6 individuals that
Yep.
live in there, that's all. Let's just.
So they're gonna have parking where those decks are in the back.
Now, could you
No,
just,
I
could
don't
you just
think
state your
he says
name?
roadway,
Uh,
he means the
Steve
shared
Popper,
use
I'm a
path.
representative for ASC Investments, the 69R Alden Street project.
Okay, thanks.
So, the back of 3
Where
buildings?
Parker Candy was.
Right.
Yeah, those
But
buildings.
the water edge of that, you probably remember through the permitting where we had to show the temporary easement lines
Yeah.
and the permanent easement lines. Those, the decks or landings that come off the back of those
Yeah,
buildings.
there's small decks there.
Fall right at the temporary easement.
Within
And then-
6 inches.
And then we come in however many feet it is to the actual constructed service.
Mhm.
So even if there's room out there to within the easement, however far out, we can bump it and not be an impact to the wetland. Maybe that's something we can do during construction. But for the time being, so does not affect the parking of the condominium,
No.
of
Yeah.
69 R's project. This is the trail being built along the parallel of the back of the buildings and the Quikasham River. That will be built in between those
Yeah.
two. So I want to make sure that those buildings are shown on these plans.
I was back there today. It looks like would be enough land for
Oh,
everything.
I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
But, you know, standing there and on paper, I
Yeah.
just want to make sure that
Yeah.
on paper it matches what's out there.
Mm.
Yeah.
Though, you know, it's also not far from the river, so.
Right, so you
Yeah.
gotta, we've got to split.
You have
it
it, you know,
different.
you
I
don't
there
have
are
much room
areas
to go
where-
further.
Where the path is closer to the resource area than in that specific area, so
Yeah.
if we can still fall within the easement and potentially bump it out.
Does anybody else have?
Now, if I may though, the only place that seems like it even gets remotely tight is just wrapping around that rock encroachment there.
Yeah.
That's the only place, you know,
Yeah.
all the rest seems fine.
Yeah.
Some kind of privacy fence goes up, it's a great walking path, everything's great. Just when it makes that left heading more towards the park, you know, because I know that's what they had changed on the plans. I think it used to go on, way up on the inside of that.
Yeah.
On the
Oh, yeah.
original ones.
Yep.
So now that we're there, they're changing, now it's on the backside. Maybe a squiggly S is all we need to fix there, you know, a little squiggly S, 10-foot road. I think we made it through.
That's all.
Okay, yeah.
Quickly, yes.
Little squiggly S,
We'll draw it tomorrow.
800 linear feet, squiggly S.
Does the board have any other questions?
The only thing I wanted to make sure that you're aware of, so there were, just to be completely transparent, there were a number of owners, like I stated in this application. When the application was initially put through, you guys all know Billy Damaris, right?
Yeah.
So he owned a portion of Alden Street. When these plans were first done, he had, sorry, not Alden, Dean Street. He had owned half of it. He had bought it at auction when the city disposed of some properties. So in 14, the city did a taking to take Dean Street, except for a 50-foot section at the end of it that he retained ownership to. Initially, it was thought that this construction, maybe under the original design, he would have been an applicant to the process. We finally discovered that he is not. So there is no construction activity within his 50-foot piece. That's why I want to make sure this plan clearly reflects his
Okay.
50-foot piece. Now, I did speak to Mr. Damaris and his wife Paula, just to make sure that they were aware of tonight's meeting, because now technically they're in a butter. They were 100% aware of it, and he's coming in tomorrow so that I can show him on the new drawings. He relies on the color drawings outside of our office, the pretty ones that Fred Lima did, to decide whether or not they're on his property or not. So tomorrow I will meet with him, but I just want to make sure that everybody knew he was aware, because we've been trying to get him to sign the ownership paperwork. It was only really resolved last week that, no, the taking did go through, and he only owns 50 feet, so we're not on his property. So he's been aware for at least a month that the meeting was tonight, again, as of last week, and I spoke with him again this morning as well. So I just want to make sure that you understand that he did receive proper
Okay.
notification that the meeting was tonight.
Alrighty,
And lucky enough, we didn't need him to sign.
sounds good. So can I have a motion to issue an order of conditions with special conditions, revised plan, ownership of Dean Street, and improvement on 69R Alden Street?
So moved.
Second?
Roll call?
Aye?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Yes. All right, thank you.
Very good, thank you.
One full-size set?
Not now that they're gonna be changed.
Okay. Well, there's a change plan over here.
Oh, it's already on there?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't show Alden Street. 69R Alden improvement.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, I'll wait.
Okay, all right.
Alrighty. Next is a request a certificate of compliance, SE-24-813. Owner applicant is Ronald Rusin, R&D Realty Trust, project location, 185 Napoleon Street. Assessor's map is D-16-0046, filed by Ron Rusin and R&D Realty Trust. The applicant is requesting a certificate of compliance. Proposed work has been completed, substantial compliance with the plans. Deviation from the plan is as built limit of work is closer to the resource area and proposed on site. This is done to mitigate trash piles and clean up an existing slopes on the resource area. It is the opinion of the EGI that this has been no negative impact to the resource areas shown or associated with the buffer zone.
So if you remember, we actually just dealt with 205 Napoleon, the next lot over. Same situation, when they got to the rear of these parcels, which runs along the on-ramp to 24.
Yeah.
It was, the area was just abused, so when they went in and constructed the houses, the hay bales and silt fence went up. You stood there and looked over the hay bales and silt fence, it was tires, it was this, it was, I mean, fallen trees, so they did clean it out, it's all been vegetated. So they actually did a great job of pulling a bunch of stuff out of the resource area. However, that did bring them closer, only in the buffer zone, to the actual resource area limit. So it went, the work area was technically beyond what was permitted here, but will be within the buffer zone and outside of the resource area itself. So I recommend the issuance of a certificate of compliance.
Okay, any questions? Can I have a motion to issue a certificate of compliance?
So moved?
Seconded.
Roll call?
Aye?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Yes. Alrighty. Next on the agenda is we need to assign a member of Conservation Commission to the CPC committee. Right now, I sit as the chair on CPC, so,
I'll make a motion to put you back there.
second,
So moved.
roll call?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
Yes.
okay. Request for denial, superseding, order of conditions for SE 24833.
So this is just a correspondence issue. As we had anticipated, the abutter to that Florence Street notice of intent did file an appeal of the order of conditions with DEP. So that's just, we have a site walk April 23rd, I think. I can email you with what the update is with DEP. But I know we don't deal with them often, but at this point, we're hands off.
Okay.
So now DEP comes in and looks at what we did. I think what the applicant may not have been aware of is that we require 25-foot no activity zone, and that the applicant lived up to that 25-foot no activity zone. So even, and I kind of try to explain this to them, even if DEP feels that the delineation is off a few feet, they basically got 25 feet to play with. Because DEP does not have to afford or require that 25-foot no activity zone. So I think you all did a good job with holding them to the 25-foot no activity zone. We, I don't wanna say badgered, but we made sure that the consultant was very thorough and confident in her line. So now it comes down to DEP's experts, the applicant's expert, and I don't even think the abutters expert won't even be allowed on site unless allowed. So it'll be up for DEP to come down and take a look at what was approved and make whatever modifications, either thumbs up, thumbs down, or revise the plan. But our hands are off for the time being.
Okay.
Good.
Make a motion to place on file.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Aye.
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 Yes. Sorry.
Correspondent with Kilo's Commuter Service 2024 yearly operational plan.
Motion to accept and place on file?
Seconded.
Roll call?
Aye.
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 Yes.
Okay, notification filed by MassDOT submitted March 18th, 2024 regarding 401 water quality certification for over secondary line. Motion to place on file.
So moved.
Second?
Se-
Roll call?
Aye.
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 Yes.
Okay. Next, notification of filed by South Coast Rail submitted March 1st, 2024 regarding special project destination permit extension and modification.
Motion to accept and place on file?
Second.
Roll call?
Aye.
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 Yes.
Okay, motion for approval of minutes from March.
Motion.
Seconded.
Roll call?
Aye.
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 You weren't here.
Oh. I cannot second the motion as I was not
Okay.
here. Correct.
Second.
Thank you.
Second by Lewis?
Aye.
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 Yes.
Okay. No public input. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So made.
Seconded.
Roll call?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.